awareness, acknowledgement, and deep ownership. That's what acknowledgement is really deep ownership to whatever the energy is, the impact it has on yourself, the impact it has on others, right? You have to look at the shadow behaviors in your life and you have to determine what are the things that are keeping me small? What are the things that are hurting others? What are the things that are getting in the way of what I really want? And those behaviors, again, in the addictive lover side, it's all the vices. It's scrolling social media, it's masturbating to pornography, it's doing drugs, it's gambling, it's being a workaholic. On the impotent side, it's sitting there doing nothing, just kind of floating through life when you've allowed life to just kind of go on, where maybe in your relationship, it can feel more like your roommates than your lovers. Maybe you start sleeping in separate rooms, and then this pathway of just further and further and further apart happens till one day they're walking out the door and you're like, what happened? And then I would ask you a question is like, when did she really leave? How long has that one foot been out the door? How many times has this come up about presence, about listening? We all have that in our relationships. How are you answering that call? How are you showing up in that way? Because these are the subtle cues that tell you to be aware so you can pivot and make changes. And like anything, the earlier you catch on to those whispers, the better you're able to make bigger changes with smaller effort. As in Ignite, we like to say, do you want to get tickled by a feather, hit by a brick, or run over by a truck? Feathers are nice. Tickling is nice. So when life tickles us, when our partner, when our family reflects back to us the same things over and over again, we as men must take responsibility for our actions, for our emotions, for the way we show up. And by the way, this does not take away any work that our partners or our families have to do, but we always must look first to ourselves because we're the one having the experience. We're the one responsible for how we experience life and what impact our behaviors are having. Prepare yourself emotionally, energetically, mental focus, knowing that you're going to have to navigate a certain situation and don't allow it. And the reality is, when you get triggered by something, it's because that energy still lives in you. If that energy has been resolved or reconciled, then it won't attach to you. So when there's a person that really triggers you or a situation that comes up that always triggers you, like that is your trigger. That is your piece to pay attention to and say, what about this is triggering? What in me is unresolved related to this? And that's where ownership, radical ownership comes in. It's not taking blame, but in any situation you're experiencing in life, you absolutely have to ask the question, like, what's my role in this? What's my part in this? What piece of this can I own? Because the truth is, that's the only part you can actually control. You can't control others. You can't control what people are going to say about you. You can't control other people's behaviors. So only thing you can control is what you're going to do and how you're going to choose to respond as opposed to react to whatever is going on. And the more you can anticipate that, the more you can have certain expectations, you can manage those triggers, trigger management. That's what it comes down to. Being able to have emotional intelligence, listen for the subtle cues of life. And this is such an important skill set for any man, any high achieving man. It's to have this sixth sense, this, we call it the magician energy in Ignite, where it's like you can tap into the field. You can come into a room and read the room. You can read a group of people. You can determine. That's becoming so much more important, especially as artificial intelligence is becoming more and more a part of our everyday life, where the distinguishment between what's real and what's artificial is going to be so hard, and that technology is just going to get better and better, that our level of discernment as men, as kings, as warriors needs to be like on point to protect our family, to provide, to make sure that those within our sphere are taken care of. Technology is technology. It doesn't have a feeling one way or another. It's how the tool is applied. So my prayer is that the tools that are being put in now will be used to uplift humanity, and the light will always overshadow the dark, no matter how much dark there is there. And our role as men is to not get complacent, to not get compliant, to not be energy neutral, where not only do we not see what's going on in our world, but that we just sit back and allow it to happen. There's a reason testosterone rates are the lowest they've ever been amongst healthy men. There's a reason that we are distracted with so much media and consumption and processed food and chemicals and pesticides and the things that keep our life force and our energy low. So, as a man listening to this, as a man in the world, is absolutely 100% your responsibility and your duty to attune your energy, to do the work, to invite in criticism, inquiry into your self development, to get better, to grow, so that you can provide in a way that actually brings you joy.